Hey guys, welcome to It Newsers, the toy and action figure news desk here on PopCultureNetwork.com. Now I know what some of you are thinking, wait a minute, is this It Figures or is this the news desk? I don't understand. Well, when it came time to record It Figures this week, both Pixel Dan and Killen had personal matters they had to attend to, and Scotty Cash was, I don't know, somewhere else, eating pizza, probably, and I was drunk. So there was no It Figures podcast this week. So I sat down today to do the news desk, and I thought, well, why not come down to the It Figures set, do the news desk here. We can talk about some of the neat toy stuff going on, and then I'll put this up as an MP3 in the feed on Podbean and iTunes. So if you guys want to have your toy podcast this week, well, here you go. We're late, and you're going to get another one in like 3 days anyway, but whatever. Either like it or don't. I don't care. People. Sheesh. All right. First up, G.I. Joe Collectors Club has the first reveal of the Cobra Commander package for the new G.I. Joe Retaliation toy line. Basically, this is the Cobra Commander from the movie, the one with the giant cobra fang head staff thing that shoots a missile out of its mouth. I'm guessing at some point in the movie he's just going to pull out this staff with a giant snake head on it and start shooting fireballs at people. If not, then this toy is completely misleading. And who would ever expect that from a toy? But key thing about the package here, it does have the G.I. Joe Retaliation logo for the new movie. And at the top, there's Snake Eyes and The Rock. I'm sorry, and Roadblock, played by, little Dwayne Johnson. Dewey Johnson and Snake Eyes there at the top of the package. I'm guessing they're going to be on all the packages because they're the key characters from the movie. The one that kids care about is the former wrestler and the guy that doesn't talk. So, S&M bondage suits are cool, and that's why Snake Eyes gets to be on the package. This is coming from a guy in a wrestling mask. Yeah, I know. I get it. All right, up next, Art FX has Batman Hunt the Dark Knight from Dark Knight Returns as an Art FX statue. Now, this is based on the artwork, of course, of Frank Miller. This is a Kotobukiya Japanese import. I don't think there's a price yet. I don't see one. But it is supposed to be available in September of this year. And it's basically based off, the Frank Miller artwork. And it's him punching Joker. He's got Joker on the ground, and he's on top of him, punching him in the face. Looks fantabulous. I mean, this is a really nice looking. I know it's going to be expensive. I mean, if this thing was $50 or less, I'd probably buy one. But, there's no price listed, so it's hard to say how much it's going to go for. Probably will be expensive, but boy, does that thing look nice. Next up, WWE Elite Collection Series 14 images are out. The figures in this line, we've got King Booker, Alberto Del Rio, John Cena, The Rock, Undertaker, and Big Boss Man for all you big Cobb County, Georgia fans. Taking a look at some of these, King Booker, of course, has the crown, the robe, the scepter. Looks kind of like Hero from Masters of the Universe Classics. I don't think that's really what they intended, but it is Mattel, so you never know. I'm surprised customizers, guys who do custom figures, I'm surprised they haven't been taking the Mattel WWE figures and making Masters of the Universe customs. I mean, maybe they just like the classics line so much that they don't really think about it, but there are a lot of characters, especially with the big physiques. The WWE characters have, huge, muscle-bound physiques that seem like they'd be perfect for doing a Masters of the Universe Classics custom figure of. So we haven't seen any of that, but anyway, I digress. Alberto Del Rio, he comes with the WWE Championship, and he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. So he's got some accessories there, which is better, I think, than his old one. His old one came with the Chihuahua wearing the Rey Mysterio mask, which was like a gimmick that lasted like a second in WWE, and yet they released the figure with that Chihuahua because they didn't really have anything else to put with them. You couldn't really fit a nice Mercedes car in that package because he does have the car entrance. You couldn't put his ring announcer, in the package, so they just put that little Chihuahua, which, whatever. But This with the belt and the Money in the Bank briefcase looks pretty nice. You've got another John Cena. And I know John Cena haters, you're always going to hate John Cena. But listen, this is what I'm going to say about John Cena. I know so many people say they're tired of John Cena. They don't want to see him anymore. But he is this generation's Hulk Hogan. And blasphemy. Oh, I know. It's a terrible thing to say. But I've got a son who's 7. If it wasn't for Rey Mysterio and John Cena, he would have zero interest in WWE. I mean, those are the two guys that he can identify. Picks them out of the crowd. Whenever we go to the live events, they're the ones he's cheering for. For him, a guy like John Cena is the ultimate superhero. He's Superman for John Cena, just like Hulk Hogan was for us. He fits that role perfectly. So there's another John Cena because kids will buy him. My son has 3, I think, John Cena figures and 3 Rey Mysterios. So having another John Cena figure out there, he's probably going to end up with it by the end of the summer. We've got a Rock figure, this time wearing the USA flag Brahma Bull logo t-shirt, sunglasses, and microphone, because Rock comes back and cuts promos and doesn't wrestle a whole lot anymore. Although he will, apparently at WrestleMania. Who knows how good it's going to be. I don't know. Kind of backing Cena on that one, but, whatever. We got Undertaker. He's wearing his latest gear, his hooded, sleeveless robe that he's been coming down to the ring with. So, another one here, obviously, to cash in on WrestleMania, along with Rock and Cena. I'm sure Pixel Dan will be buying this one. He buys everything that has Undertaker, because he's, huge into Undertaker. And then, of course, the Big Boss Man. Because people have been screaming for Big Boss Man. I don't know. I had nothing against Big Boss Man. Although, when I think about him, when I really remember Big Boss Man, the only thing that I really remember a whole lot is that he would wrestle in that blue shirt, and then the blue shirt would always, rip open right on his belly. Because he did have, gut going on, and so he'd wrestle, and I just remember, this big fat guy with his shirt open, swaying his belly button. That's why I always wear T-shirts. Don't unbutton, because this shirt is just kind of like the top shirt, has some color, whatever, and my Jimmy Buffett Hawaiian shirt look. Anyway, so there you go, Elite Series 14. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. This is Series 14 from Mattel, and how long ago did they get the license? 3 years, maybe, that Mattel took over the WWE license, and they're on Series 14 already. For people who collect every figure in, the series, it must suck to see all these figures coming out. From Diamond Select Toys, we have a Marvel Select Avengers Hulk figure. This is based on his appearance in the new movie. This is sculpted by Gentle Giant. Will be available at Diamond Select retailers like comic book shops, basically. This comes out April 25th. It's a 7-inch scale, which means he stands over 8 inches tall. So, normal human would be 7 inches. He stands a little bit taller. And I know you've seen the Diamond Select come in the huge boxes. They usually have some nice figures. Normally, though, I think they usually come with some sort of extra diorama piece that we don't see here. We just see the figure. Usually there's some sort of stand. You put them on, sometimes a backdrop. Like with Punisher, there was a pinball machine with the guy crashing through it. Extra stuff like that. We don't see any of that. We just see the figure here. But it does look nice. And now's the time to order, because Diamond orders have to be submitted in, I think, 5 days is the deadline. So in 5 days, your comic book shop has to have that order in. So if you want one, you better speak up. 4 days. 4 days it has to be in. The big controversy of this week, though, this is the big #1 story everybody's talking about, has to do with Transformers. Hasbro has officially come out and said that they do not condone third-party Transformers work. They will never work with them. And the people behind BotCon 2012 have said that they will not allow the sale of third-party merchandise. Now, what is third-party merchandise? What are third-party studios? Well, basically, as Hasbro has gone off and done all these movie-inspired figures, people who like the original characters, the original look, the G1, the G2 figures. They don't want all that movie-inspired Bayformers stuff. So these other groups have come in and started sculpting their own versions of Transformers. They make their own Optimus Prime. They make their own Bumblebee. They make their own, characters of the Transformers universe, and they sell them. And they sell them in, hundreds of pieces, thousands of pieces. They have fan projects of building their own Constructicons, multi-robots that come together in the giant form, new head sculpts that you can, battle damage and whatever. And basically, customizers who customize a single figure at a time are starting to get worried now that these third-party groups, which are now being spotted as pirates by Hasbro, are going to affect their ability to make customs. Hunter Knight Customs, one of the biggest and one of the best customizers of random figures, is afraid that if he touches anything Hasbro now, he's going to be in trouble because he's going to be lumped in with these third-party groups. The difference, I think, between a customizer and one of these third-party studios is that a customizer buys the original product and then manipulates it to make it look differently. And then they can resell it because it's a transformative work. They've taken an original purchased product, which once you own, you can do whatever you want with it. So they customize it, and then they resell it at a higher price because they did some work into it. With these third-party studios, they're basically saying, they oftentimes, companies like iGear, who make some of these third-party sculpts, they don't make up their new version of a character. They don't take an iPad, and call it Tabletron and have it, turn into a robot. Look, I made my own Transformer. They make their own version of Optimus Prime. They look at the Optimus Primes that are out there right now, and the only ones you can get are based off his look in the movie, the long-nosed cab. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look like G1. So they sculpt their own Optimus Prime and mold it and put it in the production line and sell it. And the problem is, Hasbro says, we own Optimus Prime. Hasbro says, aha, Optimus Prime's our character. If we're not making that sculpt right now, you can't just go out and do it. And for a long time, they just kind of turned a blind eye, but now it's gotten pretty big. And with the Transformers Prime toy line, they're moving away from all the movie-inspired look. They're going back to more simplified designs. The Prime figures, obviously aren't G1. They're based off the cartoon, but they look nice. Like, even I have been buying some Transformers Prime figures. Now, I just buy the Legion class and the Commander class because I don't want to spend a half hour transforming the figure doing 400 different moves. I mean, they're all level 1 easy, maybe level 2. So I'm not getting into the huge, Voyager class and whatever. But, I'm starting to get kind of pulled back into it. And if I walked into a retail store and saw a snub-nosed cab, Optimus Prime, I'd be like, ooh, I really want to buy that. But because these other people are out there, I go to iGear, I look at their $75 Optimus Prime, and I go, man, that looks nice. I really wish I had $75. Hasbro isn't going to get a dime of that. If I go to Hunter Knight Customs, and I say, I have this Ultra Magnus, can you paint him to look like a Prime, so I can have an Ultra Magnus Prime, whatever, he can do that, but I've already bought Hasbro's toy. That's the difference between a customizer and a custom figure and these third-party groups. These third-party groups are basically cutting Hasbro out completely. And they're just taking Hasbro's characters and making their own versions. Whereas a customizer is going to buy Hasbro's product and then transform it into something else, pun intended. So, BotCon, they've now said that they will confiscate bootleg third-party toys. They figure, something, an iGear sculpt is no different from the bootleg Chinese ones that you find at, like, Big Lots or Tuesday Morning or, some of those resale, discount mass market chains. They have those ones that, they're all Chinese lettering on there, or they may say, like, Robot Changers or something. They make their own knockoff version. They're saying that these third-party studios, these third-party groups are no different from those, those pirates. So, if you're going to BotCon hoping to pick some of those up, change your mind right now, because they're not going to allow any of that merchandise on the floor. All right, that's going to do it for right now. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We Yes, me. And then when I come back from the commercial break, I will answer a few fan corn hubla 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 hubla.
Hey guys, it's Killen. I'm here to discuss a new show coming every Monday on the Pop Culture Network. It is the Video Game Loser Show. Every week we'll discuss the news relating to video games. We're going to talk about some releases and have a short discussion on whatever random topic we think is relevant that week. It's going to star myself and, of course, I'm not, Dirk. So be sure to check us out on VGLosers.com, part of the Pop Culture Network.
Yay! Alright guys, welcome back to It Newsers, the toy and action figure news desk here on PopCultureNetwork.com. Taking a look at some of the fan corner questions. Look, when Pixel Dan and Killen come back next week, they may answer these questions themselves, but I know a lot of you like to get a response, you like to hear your name mentioned, you like to hear your question mentioned, so I'm just going to go ahead and read through and answer some of these. Maybe I can come up with a decent answer, maybe I can't. I don't know. But we're going to sit down and try it and see what happens because we are silly and spooky like that. All right, first up from the Rook. My question from last week got missed, so I'll post a new question. Do you think Mattel will keep the $20 per figure price point for subscribers of the 2013 Masters of the Universe Classic subscription? Or do you think subscribers will get hit with the 10% price increase? Would be nice if Mattel kept the lower price for subscribers as an added bonus for getting the subscription. It might also help to keep subscribers for next year with a 10% price increase. Going by this year's subscription price, the cost will be $560 per subscription. Honestly, I expect prices to go up across the board. Sales have gone down, the cost of making everything has gone up, and things are just more expensive. Your fuel is more expensive to transfer the toys. That means the shipping price has gone up, even though they charge you $8 for what is, 60-cent shipping probably costing them. But the price for fuel has gone up. The price for the oil, for the plastics, has gone up. The price of just doing business, international trade, has gone up. Money switching hands between countries. Everybody's taxing and putting tariffs on everything. So I think it's just going to go up across the board. 2013, I think, is going to be an expensive year for toys. Unless something happens globally to fix the international economy, prices on everything are just going to go up. They're just going to get more expensive. Next up, Clone Yoshi. Hey guys, instead of a question, I got a story. So yesterday in class, which was Tuesday, from when you're probably reading this, oops, well, we're a little late, we could pretty much work on any work we wanted to, but I didn't have anything to work on, and my teacher would force me to do something. My teacher had coloring books for a strange reason, and one was Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. So in grief and hate for the movie, I opened the book and colored in Optimus Prime, which I think I did awesome because I made him more like Generation 1. Then class ended. Then today the power went out in the middle of class in the same class, so I started talking about Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers coming to kill people and how we would survive, and the teacher got mad at this. After these 2 days in this class, I really love it. Good to know, Clone Yoshi. Thanks for sharing. Weaver27. Hey guys, I'm sorry this question is not about toys this time, but maybe Pixel Dan and Steena could help me on this one since you two are Disneyland or Disney World experts. I'm going to Disneyland on September of this year, 2012. Last time was in 2000. That was 12 years ago. Could you two help me out? What's new? What has been taken out of Disneyland since then? Well, they're not here. And quite honestly, I'm not a huge Disney fan like they are. I would love to go to the theme parks. I've got 2 kids. They would love to go down to Disney, but, gas being what it is, driving, plane tickets are super expensive. Plus it's $100+ a day just to be at the park. So, unless I knew somebody down in Florida, I could crash there with my family, 2 kids and a wife for a couple days. I don't think we're going to be going there anytime soon. As far as what's changed, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is gone. I know that. Part of the reason why I don't want to go back. So think about that. Orko says, hey guys, my question may be kind of personal, so if you want to answer it in private, I understand or not. I heard that Dan mentioned a week or 2 back someone sending them a birthday gift. I don't remember who sent the gift. I've been trying for some time now to get birth dates of all my friends and write them all down so they don't sneak up on me anymore. I consider you guys my friends too. I was hoping you get everyone's birth date so I could get started on sending gifts. And don't say you don't have to do that, because if I had to do it, it wouldn't be any fun. Birth dates. Well, you just missed Pixel Dan's. His was a week ago. So, there you go on that. Mine is in July. Killen's is this... no, Killen's was... oh, man, see, this is the problem. I am terrible. I have no sense of the progression of time. If you ask me how many years it's been since I've gotten married, I have to think of what year it is, because we got married in 2000, so if this is 2012, I've been married 12 years, approximately, If you say, how long has it been since I've been in college? I don't, and dates of years, Killen and I always have this argument, because I will say something happened, a couple weeks ago, and he'll be like, that was 2 months ago. And I'll go, oh, okay, 2 months, a couple weeks ago, whatever. Killen will say, that happened like a year and a half ago, and it was, a month and a half ago. He looks at, for him, things that happened way back were way back, and for me, things that happened way back were not that long ago. As far as, like, dates and numbers and times, the problem is I associate events with, like, days of the week, not necessarily with, the actual date it's on, because most people, especially when you get to be our age, you don't celebrate your birthday on your birthday, because your birthday generally falls during the work week, so you celebrate your birthday on Saturday night. Your birthday may be on Tuesday, but Saturday night is when you're going out drinking, because, you don't want to hang over at work. So it's just kind of one of those things where when people's actual birthdays are, it takes me a while to remember mine sometimes, Mine's the July 23rd. There you go. I can give you that one. You just missed Dan's. Killen's was not that long ago. Scotty Cash, I want to say August, but I'm probably off. It's probably April, Hopefully they'll answer this question for you, Orko. Because I'm terrible. I'm terrible. Albatraze says, hey guys, have you ever made a completely custom figure? I've made Audrey 2 and a Minecraft character completely out of hot glue, using no other toy parts, and making my own molds. Does making them out of Play-Doh count? I remember, when I was little, I couldn't afford all the different G.I. Joe guys, so I used to take Play-Doh and make them approximately the same size. And I got a little smart one time and actually put toothpicks, and then built the clay on top of the toothpicks, with the Play-Doh on top of the toothpicks. But, generally speaking, no. I took some sculpture classes, so I've sculpted stuff out of clay, made whatever, made some dragons and, whatnot, because I was an art major. But for the most part, no. Making them completely custom. Pixel Dan has painted a bunch. He's painted a couple Disco Skeletors for me. He used to buy WWE figures and make all of us, 'cause we were all in wrestling. Scotty Cash, Duvall, Dan, myself. That's, how most of us kind of know each other as friends, spend a lot of time together in professional wrestling, and so he used to make custom wrestling figures of us and whoever else, but really just customizing, not making them from scratch. And we're back. Apparently my camera has a 50-minute limit on it, so after I hit 50 minutes it decided it didn't want to record anymore. Good to know. I have to keep that in mind for next time. Alrighty then. Skybuzz says, hey guys and girl, first time here, but I've watched the episodes. It's a very addictive show. Sorry I had to ruin it for you. Can't wait for your season cliffhanger. So anyway, on to my question. What is the worst toy you can remember purchasing? This is kind of one of those what was I thinking questions, like Star Trek marbles or something. For Pixel Dan, probably Stealth of Ultron. Because that thing, first of all, it's not very pretty, but it's incredibly fragile. for giant robots that combine together into a more giant robot, that thing broke at every turn. Every time it seemed like we manipulated the thing, that thing would snap and break, and something would flake off or scratch off or break off. One of those type of situations. For me personally, one of the things that really upset me was the Star Trek line. I love the 3 3/4 inch figures. They came out with figures. I thought they were great. I thought Playmates did a great job on the figures. They came out with the play sets, and I think the playset design was great, but they had this issue where in order to complete a playset, you had to buy the 3 3/4 inch figures to get the extra pieces you need to plug in to complete it. In every 3 3/4 inch figure, there was a chair for the bridge, or there was a piece of transporter console, or there was a view screen, or something in with the 3 3/4 inch figure. So if you bought the figures, you would have this random thing sitting around that didn't do anything for you. And if you bought the play sets, of course you had to buy the figures. But in order to complete the play set, you had to buy all the figures. And each playset came with a figure, and the figure in the playset was the same as the figure you bought individually. And of course, you had to buy that figure again to get the piece to complete the playset. And then not only that, but they never completed the line. So there's a hope that maybe when the next Star Trek movie comes out, they will, re-release the bridge and have new pieces in there. But of course, it'd probably give a complete redesign for the movie, and it won't look the same, and they'll make all new pieces, or they may even go with a different company for the toys. I don't even know how that's going to work, but I have this bridge playset for the Star Trek movie, and it's only half done, and I own every piece. I've contemplated a couple times just buying a second playset and just chucking the extra, floor mat and whatever, and using the extra chairs and view screens to complete the look of it, because otherwise I've got this half-empty bridge just sitting there. It's just really kind of one of those things where it's like, I wish I had never gotten into it. Again, I really liked the figures, and I thought the playsets looked really cool. The transporter effect was really neat. All that kind of stuff, but it was just a huge logistical nightmare. And again, it's still not even complete to this day because they were idiots about the whole thing. All right. CXB452, thanks for answering my question last week. It never occurred to me to shout by the power of Grayskull as my wife gave birth to any of my other children, nor did I have Lieutenant Spectre on hand to guard the delivery room. I now wish I had. Okay, anyway, on to my question. Most pop culture properties these days have multiple outlets to support their brands: toys, comics, movies, cartoons, and video games. He-Man has had all of these at one point or another, save for a video game. I don't recall any game except for the never-released Game Boy Advance game that featured He-Man in any capacity. I don't know why I think now is a fantastic time to get one out. In your opinion, what would make an amazing He-Man game? Actually, there was a Atari 2600 game, and the Game Boy Advance game did come out. It was released. I can tell you that right now because I remember standing in Kay's Merchandise Mart before they went out of business, looking at it. It was $19.99 and going, I don't think this is really worth $19.99. The game was not that great. So it was released. They've had two. What would make a great game now? I mean, you could make a bunch of different games. I mean, it just kind of depends. You could really fit that mold into anything. A Saints Row, Grand Theft Auto style sandbox game could work, with stuff breaking out. I almost think one thing that would really work would be an MMORPG. You got a lot of fantasy people, a lot of the sci-fi people. Maybe you could find a way to transport yourself into, the new adventures in outer space or something. I don't know, maybe. An expansion pack you could add on there. Although there are a lot of MMORPGs, so kind of makes it difficult. But, being a character in the universe, and if you're playing the game and you go over the hill and you stumble across a giant battle with He-Man and Skeletor going at it, and suddenly you're in the battle and helping to fight Skeletor back, then I think that could be kind of cool overall. But I don't know. It's just I don't know if video game is really the right thing for him. I mean, like I said, you can shoehorn him into anything, but I don't know what's necessarily the best. And I just got a text message, so that's cool. Smuggler says, hey guys, my dad is retiring from the Air Force in June, which means a major move from London back to the States. So I was wondering if you guys have any tips on how best to pack my toys for the move. My collection comprises action figures of various sizes and Legos. Thanks for your time. Buy bags. Baggies. Ziploc bags. Freezer size, regular size. There are places online you can go. I'm trying to think of the Storage Warehouse, maybe is the name of it, that has like custom action figure sized bags to put them in. But that's really the best way, is to seal them up with all the accessories. Anything that's loose, take off from the figure, drop in the bag, drop the figure in the bag, seal it, and be done with it. You don't have to worry about stuff, you know, breaking most of the time if they're loose in the bag, because then they can move around, they don't get crushed and snapped. And then you've got all your accessories right there so you don't lose them. That's generally the best way. That's pretty much how I do it. So, Manny Faces 1977. Hey Dan, happy birthday! By the time this gets right on the podcast, it'll be 4 days late or much later. In about 5 years, you'll be as old as me. I think I'm out of questions, but keep watching the podcast. Oh, 5 years. So you and I are the same age. Actually, you're younger. I was born in 76. Oh man, I'm old. Original Ranger fan says, hey guys, just a quick question. When will Scotty be doing more from the command center? That's up to Scotty. I think his wife went back to school, is taking classes or something like that. So his schedule has, you know, he's got a couple kids also. So his schedule has gotten a little wonky. So, you know, it's whenever he's got time. He does, you know, want to do more, and he's got more stuff to do. It's a matter of just, you know, finding the time to be able to film it and edit it. So, who knows? Cavalier Chris says, hey, Stina and her backup singers. With the new G.I. Joe movie coming out and the new figures, this got me wondering, has anybody at PCN thought about doing a G.I. Joe specific show, the way you all have specific franchises like Masters of the Universe, TMNT, Power Rangers? I know that PCN used to have a G.I. Joe show, so I don't know if this is a sore spot, because I know things went bad with the personal issues. I apologize if this is a subject no one wants to consider for their own personal reasons. No hard feelings for bringing it up. None of us are really big G.I. Joe collectors. So that's why we haven't done any sort of G.I. Joe specific shows. Dave was a big collector of G.I. Joe, so that's what he did. If Hasbro decided to send us every G.I. Joe figure, we would do a video on every G.I. Joe figure. But none of us are really in a position right now to go out and start buying all of them. Maybe, you know, we do a specific figure here or there if we particularly like the character or sculpt, but for the most part, it's just not going to happen. Because none of us are just the huge fans that have the money and the resources to put into that, because we're already buying, you know, the other figures and the other lines. Yoda Soup says, my question this week is, have you ever purchased a figure solely on their accessories included with it? Also, I wanted to know that even though that new toy smell is finished, do you still smell your new toys when you open them? Yes, toys and comic books. Best things to smell brand new. No getting around it. As far as your actual question there, ever purchased a figure solely for the accessories? Yes, that has happened a number of times. I bought a Hellraiser figure just because it had a tiny little cube, and I wanted that Hellraiser cube. I don't even know what happened to the figure. The figure might be gone. It's somewhere in my basement, I'm sure. Gosh, I know there have been other oh yeah. I like Astromechs from Star Wars. So I like getting little R2-D2s and R5-D4s and R1-D5s and, you know, whatever. And so there have been times when I've actually split the purchase of, you know, someone wanted to buy like an X-Wing, came with a you know, an R2-D2 and Luke Skywalker, and I said, you know, they look at it and they go, man, that's too expensive. I'm like, well, I'll pay the $10 if you give me the R2. You know, he's the accessory in with the vehicle. He's what I wanted, so I threw down for that. So, I mean, there are things like that that happen from time to time, sure. Nasty Will. Hey, peeps, been playing Skylanders. I think it's a very cool game with a play function that really works. The only thing I do not like about it, it's so hard to get figures. How do y'all feel about how high Amazon and eBay are selling them for? P.S. I have an extra drill sergeant if anybody wants to trade for a rock type I need. I'd trade for it, but I probably don't have the figure you need because I've only got like 4 Skylanders. But supply and demand. You know, walk into any store. Yesterday I went to Target, Toys R Us, Kmart, Walmart, another Walmart, I don't know, GameStop. None of them, not a single place, had any Skylander figures. Now, Toys R Us did have a sign saying to come back on the 21st, I believe it was, and the 21st they would be completely restocked of all the Skylanders. But for the most part, you just can't find them. So, you know, if someone goes out there and they buy a couple extra and they throw it online, I mean, you might want to call them scalpers or whatnot, but, I mean, that's supply and demand. They're impossible to find. Everybody wants them. I think it's one of those things, though, if you wait in a couple months, the prices are going to come way down because they're going to get them back out on the market and they're going to be easier to find. But, you know, that's just how it goes. That's just, you know, it sucks because I wish I had all of them, but that's just how it goes. The Mighty Spector says, hey guys, if you could make your own toy line, any size figures, what would it be? I'd make the Scavengers. They'd be 2-inch and have accessories of household items turned into various weapons and vehicles. I like it. Muscle size figures, I'm in. I don't care what they are. I'm in. I'm buying them. Done. Send them to me. I like 3 3/4-inch figures. I like the muscle size figures. I like those smaller size guys. What would they be? I mean, can I say I want to bring back the actual muscle toys? Because that's what I choose. Tron? Dude, if they made 2-inch muscle, like little chibi Tron figures, oh, man. I almost left a wet spot on the floor right here. That would be fantabulous. But I mean, you know, okay, you know, here's a thought. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about Voltron Force. How there's no Voltron Force toys out there. And I thought, you know, the show is all right. I'd like to see some figures. But I thought about it. I don't want regular action figures. I don't want, you know, to buy all these different lions and whatnot. What I thought would be really cool is if they made 6-inch lion or 6-inch Voltrons and Robies. And what do I mean by Voltrons? Well, if you haven't seen Voltron Force, the cartoon, basically the black lion takes a lot of damage, and they realize they need to reconfigure Voltron and put a different lion in the center position. And so they end up putting, I think it's Lance, in the red lion in the center position. And when he becomes the center lion, Voltron reconfigures, and instead of having the blazing sword, now he's got pistols. If Hunk takes the yellow lion and becomes the center lion, then Voltron reconfigures, and now he's got like a mace and a chain on the end of his wrist that he can swing around and bash things with. And I thought, I would like a line of 6-inch Voltrons with each different center lion and their accessories, their different weapons. And, you know, a couple Robies. You know, the castle in this version of Voltron is, you know, like 20 stories tall. It's got all these different layers and whatever, and that would be about the same scale. And that's what I'd really like to have, are the giant Voltrons and the Robies. And I'm not really worried about the fact that you could take them apart and recombine them. I don't want them to come apart necessarily. Really good sculpts of the full Voltron robot. I think that's what I'm looking for right now. So that would be my suggestion to World Event Productions and Mattel. Make some toys of that. That would be awesome. Final question here from Count Marzo. Let's see. Here's my question I asked a few weeks ago but didn't make it, so I'm going to ask again if you get time to get to it. Hey guys, I got one for Pixel Dan. When you get a new figure and you want to do a review on it, how important is it you have something that you can do comparison time for it? Does that make the figure more worthwhile for you when you have a vintage one too? Does that take away from a new character figure that doesn't have anything to compare it to back in the day? I know that when I'm doing reviews, comparing them is great because it fills time. Excuse me. There are a few toys that have come out that I've had to do a review of, and the review was 2.5 minutes long because there's just nothing really to talk about, you know? It's got 16 points of articulation. He's blue. He's got a head. Comes with a gun. Boom. Review. You know, it's hard to get into. Anytime you can compare it, it's great. One of the things I loved about the Red Lion, the new one from Mattel, when I did that review, is that I had the Panache Place, I had the Toynami, I could compare them. I could compare the figure to the DC Infinite Heroes line. You know, I could do those type of comparisons, and I think it's good to do those types of comparisons because it gives people a frame of reference of where you're coming from. I know, like, when you look at the movie industry, one way the movie industry gets criticized is that every movie is somehow another movie mixed with another movie. Oh, you'll love this new movie. It's Pretty Woman meets Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, it's about hookers that kill you in your dreams or something. You know, they always do that. But you have to do that type of thing to give people a frame of reference of what this is. You know, nothing is created in a vacuum. Everything is little bits of ideas kind of pulled together and cobbled together and made into something new. And so when you're reviewing a toy, you're going to have certain biases and you're going to have memories of other toys in your mind when you're looking at the toy regardless. And doing that in a review, I think, really helps, because people are going to go, oh, yeah, I remember there used to be a toy that did something similar. And you go, yep, here it is, and here's how it compares. And that's just the key thing I think a lot of people look for, are those types of comparisons. When someone does a cell phone review or a tablet review or a laptop review, you know, there's some sort of benchmark. There's some sort of, you know, well, compared to the iPad, you know, they have to do, because that's what people think of, and that's what in their mind they're comparing it to anyway, so you got to do that in the review. So I think as far as toy reviews go, if I can grab a toy and say, well, it reminds me a lot of this one, I know I'm not the only person. A lot of people are, and it gives more to the review than just saying, oh, look, he's got elbows. You know, there's only so many times you can do that in a toy review before you're like, oh, you know. So being able to compare it, I think, is really key. And that's one of the reasons why we like to review entire lines of toys and not just one figure. You know, as far as something like DC Universe Classics, we don't like to just, well, here's one figure. You know, whoever's doing the review of one figure is actually doing 3 or 4 figures. Or they're doing the whole, you know, wave or whatever. Because that way they can compare it to the others and just see how well it looks in comparison with the other figures. Or, generally speaking, if we get 3 3/4 inch figures, I generally do the review, because I've been buying 3 3/4 inch figures since I can remember. Dan's a He-Man Masters of the Universe guy. So anything that comes in that he does, you know. Those are just the figures they have. That's the market they're going for, and they're comparing them to all the other toys. So I think it is key that you find something to compare it to. And I think the toy designers are comparing it in their mind when they make them, and I think fans are comparing them when they go out and buy them. So it just makes sense to do that in the review. So, anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of It Newsers, the Toy and Action Figure News Desk here, PopCultureNetwork.com. Hope you enjoyed the show. I did it all myself, and I'm not even drunk, and I wish I was, but we're actually getting ready to open the store here, so I can't get too plowed. But having said that, I am recording Comaholics tomorrow night with the Apocalypse. If you want to hear drunken rambling about comic books, make sure you tune in and find that show. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.